The practice tests focus on key concepts that are important for the safety of food in a food service operation. Each test has 15 questions that are very similar to the real questions that might be on your exam. Question 46. What is a commonly used chemical sanitizer? A. Chlorine, B. Iodine, C. Office, D. Quartz. Answer C. The most commonly used chemical sanitizers are iodine, chlorine, and quartz, quaternary ammonium compounds. Question 47. Which of the following is not considered a TCS food? A. A baked potato, B. Sliced watermelon, C. Sprouts and sprout seeds, D. Bread. Answer D. Cooked or baked bread is not a TCS food because it does not require time and temperature control for safety. We cook food to kill the microorganisms that cause foodborne illness. We also limit the amount of time that foods are in temperatures that allow or encourage microorganisms to multiply. But some foods do not need time and temperature control for safety and are not considered a TCS food. Cooked bread is not a TCS food because the microorganisms have already been killed. Microorganisms also need moisture to multiply. Cooked bread does not contain much moisture and therefore does not need to be controlled with temperature. Many dehydrated foods can be exposed to unsafe temperatures for long periods of time because they do not contain enough moisture to microorganisms to thrive. Question 48. What is a grease trap? A. The floor area near the deep fryers that can be hazardous, often causing slips and falls. B. A plumbing fixture that prevents grease buildup from blocking drains. C. A channel running along the base of a flat top grill for collecting debris. D. A designated container for properly disposing of used oil from deep fryers. Answer B. Grease buildup in drains is a common problem in food service operations. The buildup can clog the drain and cause contaminated water to flood the establishment. A grease trap is a device that will capture grease and prevent it from clogging the drain. If used, a grease trap should be installed by a licensed plumber and cleaned regularly according to the manufacturer's instructions. Question 49. Which is an example of a physical contaminant? A. Bones in chili, B. Raw chicken juices on a cutting board, C. Mold on cheese, D. Pathogens on unwashed hands. Answer B. There are three types of contaminants that can enter food: physical, biological, and chemical. A physical contaminant refers to things such as glass, dirt, and food packaging, or anything else that can accidentally enter the food. Bones can also be a physical contaminant if they are in foods where they are not expected, such as soups, stews, or chili. It is important to be aware of physical contaminants. Be sure that packaging is completely removed from foods. Light fixtures near food should be protected so that in the event that a bulb should break, the glass does not fall into food. A biological contaminant refers to certain fungi, bacteria, viruses, and parasites. Some plants, mushrooms, and kinds of seafood can also produce toxins, poison, that are harmful to humans. A chemical contaminant refers to things such as cleaners, polishes, and sanitizers. Question 50. If a TCS food will be hot held for service, what is the minimum internal temperature that this food must maintain while being held? A. 165 degrees F, B. 41 degrees F, C. 135 degrees F, D. 145 degrees F. Answer C. TCS food that is being hot held for service should maintain a temperature of at least 135 degrees F. And if the food falls below 135 degrees F for 4 hours or more, it should be thrown out. Your operation should establish policies to check the temperature of hot held foods at least every 4 hours. And if after checking the food every 4 hours, it's found to be below 135 degrees F, it should be thrown out. This is because the food could have been below 135 degrees F for the entire 4 hours. But if your operation chooses to check the temperature every 2 hours and it's found to be below 135 degrees F, there is time for corrective action. The food could be quickly reheated back to 135 degrees F and still be safe to eat. Question 51. The acronym Alet stands for Assure, Look, Employee, Report, and Threat. What type of food safety risk does this refer to? A. The deliberate contamination of food. B. Poor personal hygiene. C. Making a corrective action. D. Time and temperature abuse. Answer B. Aside from the accidental causes of foodborne illness, there is also the risk of deliberate actions taken by some people. A disgruntled employee could want to harm the reputation of a company, or a business could be intentionally sabotaged by a competitor. There is also the possibility of terroristic motivations. The Alet acronym refers to the following: assure that your products come from safe sources. Look and monitor the security of products in the facility. Employees should be vetted, know who they are. Report suspicious behavior to your supervisors. Threats should be identified, and you should know who to contact if something suspicious happens. Question 52. A faucet that supplies clean drinking water is fitted with a flexible hose to fill a mop bucket. A careless employee leaves the end of the hose in a bucket of dirty mop water overnight. Due to changing air pressure within the building's plumbing system, the dirty mop water moves up the hose and into the faucet, contaminating the clean drinking water. What is this type of contamination called? A. Cross-connection. B. Pressure fluctuation contamination. C. Cross-contamination. D. Air gap resistance contamination. Answer A. The term cross-connection is sometimes confused with cross-contamination. Although both terms are related to contamination, cross-connection has a specific definition. Cross-connection happens when a clean water supply is accidentally connected to a dirty water supply, usually through a hose or an incorrectly installed faucet. Question 53. What is the easiest and safest way to calibrate a thermometer? A. Making sure that all thermometers are showing the exact same temperature. B. Frequently replacing old or worn thermometers with new ones. C. Properly cleaning and sanitizing the thermometer after each use. D. Adjusting the thermometer so that ice water shows a temperature of 32 degrees F. Answer D. Over time, thermometers can lose their accuracy and they should be calibrated regularly. And anytime the thermometer is dropped or changed, it should be calibrated again. Calibrating means taking the thermometer for accuracy and adjusting it if it's needed. The two most common ways to calibrate a thermometer are the ice point method and the boiling point method. The ice point method is the easiest and safest because it does not involve boiling water and also because water actually boils at different temperatures depending on your elevation. To calibrate a thermometer with the ice point method, fill a large glass or jar with ice and then add water. Crushed ice works the best. Take the temperature of the ice water. If the thermometer does not read 32 degrees F, adjust it so that it does. To calibrate a thermometer using the boiling point method, you must first determine what the boiling point of water is at your location. Usually, this is about 212 degrees F, but if you live near the mountains, it may be a bit lower, and if you live near the ocean, it may be a bit higher. Use Google to search for the boiling point in your city. Once you know the boiling temperature in your area, simply bring a pot of water to bring a rapid boil. Check to see if the thermometer gives the correct temperature, and if it doesn't, then calibrate it so that it does. Question 54. What is a backflow prevention device intended for? A. Adjusting the water pressure in a dishwasher. B. To ensure the proper concentration of sanitizing and cleaning agents. C. A plumbing system that creates 3 separate drains for 3-compartment sink. D. Preventing cross-connection. Answer D. Backflow causes a cross-connection. Both of these terms are often misunderstood by students of ServSafe, and there will probably be questions on your exam about these concepts. Cross-connection is similar to cross-contamination, but it refers to something specific. A cross-connection occurs when a faucet, hose, or other plumbing fixture that provides clean water is mistakenly connected to dirty water. An example would be a hose connected to a faucet with clean water that is left submerged in a mop bucket of dirty water, or a sink faucet that is too low and becomes submerged when the sink is full of dirty dishwasher. Backflow occurs when the dirty water from the mop bucket or sink full of dirty dishwater flows through the hose or faucet and into the clean water supply. This can happen due to natural changes of pressure within the building's plumbing system. To prevent backflow and cross-connection, there should never be any direct connections between clean water and dirty water. The two most common ways to prevent backflow is an air gap or a backflow prevention device. An air gap is simply allowing a space of air between the clean water and the dirty water, such as a high faucet that cannot become submerged when the sink is full, or never submerging a hose into the bucket of mop water. A backflow prevention device is a plumbing fixture with valves that keeps water moving in only one direction and never backward. Question 55. What is the first step to correctly washing your hands? A. Apply an antibacterial solution. B. Apply soap and water. C. Wet hands and arms. D. Wet hands and fingers. Answer C. Hand washing is critical for food safety. Unclean hands are one of the biggest causes of foodborne illness. This is the proper way to wash your hands. 1. Wet hands and arms with warm running water. 2. Apply soap and work up a good lather. 3. Vigorously scrub hands, arms, and fingertips for at least 10 to 15 seconds. 4. Rinse hands and arms thoroughly with warm running water. 5. Dry hands and arms with a single-use paper towel or hand dryer. The entire hand washing process should take at least 20 seconds. All employees should be informed of the proper way to wash their hands. Question 56. When is a food service operation able to hold or display TCS foods without temperature control? A. If the food is not being served to a high-risk population. B. If the internal temperature of the food is taken at least every 4 hours. C. A food service operation should never hold or display TCS food without temperature control. D. After receiving approval in advance by the regulatory authority. Answer D. A food service operation may hold or display TCS food without temperature control as long as they do the following. Prepare written procedures and get written approval in advance by their regulatory authority. Maintain those procedures in the operation. Make sure those procedures are made available to the regulatory authority on request. This topic has different guidelines in the current 7th edition ServSafe Manager book. The guidelines in the book for this topic should be ignored because they have been revised through supplemental information due to changes in the FDR Food Code. For the purpose of ServSafe Manager exams issued in 2019 and 2020, the information above should be noted. The outdated information, which has now been revised, states that a food service operation may hold or display TCS food without temperature control if they only do so for a short time and if they do not serve high-risk populations, but this is no longer accurate. Question 57. Which of the following is not considered a safe way to thaw frozen meat? A. Cooking it while still frozen. B. Under hot running water. C. In a microwave. D. In a walk-in cooler. Answer B. It is not safe to thaw frozen meat with water that is above 70 degrees F. This is because the outside of the meat will enter the temperature danger zone while the inside is still frozen. From the time that you begin thawing the meat with hot water until the time that it reaches the correct cooking temperature, parts of the meat are likely to have been in the temperature danger zone for too long. Raw TCS foods should never be in the temperature danger zone for more than 4 hours. It is especially dangerous because hot water is actually an ideal temperature for microorganisms to thrive and multiply rapidly. The safest method to thaw frozen meat is by leaving it overnight in the cooler, but other methods are acceptable as well. Question 58. Which of the following is an acceptable method for cooling hot TCS food before storage? A. In the walk-in cooler. B. In an ice water bath. C. On the counter at room temperature. D. In the freezer. Answer B. Coolers and freezers are not designed to cool food quickly. All hot TCS food should be cooled before storage. If a pot of hot chili is placed in the cooler, it could take several hours to cool down to 41 degrees F or lower. And during that time, it is likely to have been in the temperature danger zone for too long. Also, hot food could raise the temperature of the entire cooler or freezer and put all of the food inside at risk, especially the foods stored near it. Here are some acceptable methods for cooling food. Separate the food into smaller containers and place the containers in an ice water bath. Stirring occasionally will speed up the cooling process. An ice paddle is a hollow plastic paddle that can be filled with water and frozen. Then the paddle can be used to stir a large pot and cool it quickly. Use ice or ice water as an ingredient for soups or stews. Plan ahead and use less water than the recipe calls for, and then add ice or ice water as the last step before storage. A blast chiller is designed to cool large amounts of food quickly by blasting cold air across it, but most operations are not equipped with this device. Question 59. Jaundice, a yellowing of the skin and eyes, is usually caused by which foodborne illness? A. Hepatitis A, B. E. coli, C. norovirus, D. Salmonella. Answer A. Hepatitis A is pathogen that can be transmitted in many ways. Usually it is spread through contaminated food or water. Hepatitis A needs blood-to-blood contact in order to spread, but blood can be spread in many ways. For example, it can be spread from blood in a wound to food and then to the stomach where it can enter the bloodstream. The number one way that hepatitis A is spread in a food service establishment is through the fecal-oral route. There is blood in feces, and if employees do not properly wash their hands, it can then enter the food. Hepatitis A attacks the liver, and a complicated process can cause the skin and eyes to turn a yellowish color. Although hepatitis A is rare compared to other foodborne illnesses, it should not be ignored. Hepatitis A is not curable, and the treatments are limited. Also, hepatitis A can exist in the body for months or years without the person knowing, and it can then be spread to many more people. Question 60. If you are packaging fish using a reduced oxygen packaging method, ROP, the fish must include a label stating what? A. That it must remain frozen until used. B. If it's fresh, catch or farmed raised. C. The SKU number. D. Its nutrition facts. Answer A. The current ServSafe Manager 7th edition textbook does not include this portion, but it has been updated with supplemental information and is now part of the curriculum. If your operation is packaging fish using reduced oxygen packaging, ROP, the fish must be frozen before, during, or after the packaging, and it must also include a label stating that the fish must remain frozen until it is used. If your operation is using frozen fish from a supplier that has packaged it by ROP, it should usually remain frozen until it is used, and the package should be inspected for a label containing instructions for thawing the fish and if the fish should be removed from the package before, during, or after thawing. Thank you for watching.